Lady, the problem isn't in my pants. Mex-Men.
So, this was better than I remembered, actually. The Eva Bell issues.
I feel like I remembered it better,
Really?
to be honest. Not that it's bad. I think, you know how your mind does that thing over time where it's sort of like adding stuff when you're trying to remember a thing and you don't know that you're doing that? I think that's what happened. And then I had like a longer story in my head. I feel like it was a lot faster than I thought it would be.
So I feel like almost everything we go into, especially like all X-Men stuff, it's one of you two is like, oh, I remembered it being better. And then the other one is like, it's better than I remember. And then I'm like, I never read it.
Well, normally it seems like the trade has been, I liked it, and then we go back through it, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I do not like this anymore.
Well, because you liked everything.
Yeah, everything I read for the first time, I'm like, yeah, that was great.
You can never read anything twice.
No, but then when I read it twice, it's horrible. But this one was actually good.
Yeah, I just thought it had a longer, like more in-depth story than it really does. It's quick shift.
Yeah, they probably could have added another issue if they wanted to, but
Yeah. Which that reminded me, like going through those specials. Maybe we should cover that at some point because I don't. That's another story where I vaguely remember what it is, and I'm curious to know if it's good or bad.
yeah, I don't remember what it was. I know it was X-Men, Nova, and
Iron Man. Yeah.
But I remember it because the cover of the Uncanny X-Men one was dope.
I mean, if you guys really want me to have an excuse to geek out over Nova, like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll do that.
I'm an Iron Man fan. It loops them all in.
I don't know why. He's always the world's biggest monster. Are you reading Empire right now?
I am about to read Empire. I'm sort of amassing everything. I started, and I was like, you know what? This crossover event, I want to read everything. So
This is a bad one to do it with. This is a lot of stuff.
Well, just because I really liked the idea of what Hawkling's destiny was supposed to be, like back when they first hinted at him being this uncrowned emperor of the Kree and Skrulls, like decades ago, and then never did anything with it, and now they're doing something with it.
Yeah, the X-Men one, more reasons to be annoyed at Scarlet Witch.
Oh, well, great.
And Empire, more reasons to be annoyed at Tony Stark.
Does the X-Men one actually tie in?
It's more like, at least so far, because it's only one issue, it's more like Hickman's doing what he already planned, and Empire is a good backdrop for it.
So if you read the Empire X-Men, do you got to read the Empire?
No, not really, because the Empire X-Men is just like there's one specific island that they're doing stuff on, and then some soldiers from Empire show up, and they gotta fight them off. But yeah, like regular Empire is like, again, Stark, like you're like it's just the whole. So far, it's just been like he's trying to be good this time, and he's just fucking everything up. It's all that scene in Age of Ultron where he tries to build Ultron.
Yeah.
That's his whole life.
Yeah. I know. Look, it's hard to be a Tony Stark fan, but also it's not hard because he's very entertaining. Like, he does some stuff, it goes bad.
Genocide and stuff.
He doesn't do genocide, he makes the bombs that do genocide.
And the Sentinels that do genocide.
But he didn't know he was building the Sentinels that did genocide.
Yeah. But, I mean, he had the plans. They
Speaking
were his plans.
By the way, speaking of, his technology is, we're going to end up getting to it in this too, where it does genocide.
That seems like a good jumping off point to say,
Yeah.
Welcome to this issue of Mex-Men. I'm Tony.
I'm Justin.
I'm Devin.
And today we're going to be covering all new X-Men issue 31 and then both the Eva Bell annuals.
Yeah. And if you're ever reading Iron Man, you just do it. Like, all of his voice and internal monologue and Robert Downey Jr.'s voice, he's always great.
It's automatically charming. You forgive the genocide.
You forgive the genocide.
See, you can't do that with Chris Evans and Captain America and just forgive all the hate.
I mean, you forgave the blackface.
But we're not getting into that whole thing.
I'm just saying, he's a powerful actor.
I didn't know he was in blackface.
You never saw Tropic Thunder?
Oh. I thought we were talking about Chris Evans.
No.
I was like, I never know Chris Evans was in
That would be
blackface.
hilarious. I mean, terrible. Very poor taste. But, like, hilarious that that's the guy.
I still can't forgive him. Even if I imagine it's Robbie.
Robbie?
Perfect. Robbie Downey Jr.
Well, who was the Australian guy he was pretending to be? Like, in that movie. That actor is the bad guy who was doing blackface.
Yeah. It's all a commentary on it. It's the one that's forgiven.
Yeah. So, speaking of forgiven, all new X-Men 31. Got nothing to do with that.
I was about to say, well, watch this transition. Where's he going with this?
So, the story opens up with the ultimate versions of Tony Stark talking to Amadeus Cho. And they're in front of this rip in their dimension. And they're all like, hey, they want to shut this rip in this dimension. Amadeus to Tony Stark is saying this.
Yeah, we can't fund this hole in the universe.
Yeah. And he's talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to shut the hole that's in that dimension. Because, I mean, it sort of makes sense, right? Like, oh, that might be dangerous. Yeah. Maybe we should close that. And Amadeus is like, no, it's proof that there's other dimensions out there and the multiverse is real and I want it.
He's Tony Starking it.
Yeah. And of course, Tony Stark is like, dude, I got you. I'm totally going to Tony Stark this. I'm buying it.
Yeah, he buys the hole.
He buys the hole. And then it's a terrible investment because the hole disappears. So he buys the hole and then it's gone. And it's like, oh, well, so much for that.
I think it disappeared like right before he bought it. It's a good thing it happened right now.
I picture that he's on his Venmo and it's doing the little circle to transfer funds, and it shuts as soon as it's like money transferred.
Seems suspicious. I did not know that was the ultimate versions of them.
Yeah, it's like not grittier, but like more based in reality. Like they tried really hard to be like, but what if this was real life, though?
Yeah, and they really fucked up Venom.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. He's like a computer symbiote that, like you can control him, and you're like, Venom, activate wrist cannons. It's stupid. It's like he's all lab created instead of an alien.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't read a lot of the Ultimate Universe stuff. I read a bit of the X-Men stuff, a little bit of the Spider-Man stuff. I read almost none of the Ultimates. I read Ultimatum. That was fucking hardcore. Well, that's basically it.
I read all the Spider-Man stuff after Volume 2 started.
I read just the X-Men stuff. They fucked up Sinister because he was like a normal dude. I think he was a junkie. I'm like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah.
Nothing like Sinister.
They did Cloak and Dagger pretty cool, though.
I didn't see them. They were in the Ultimates?
No, they're in Miles Morales. Oh.
So yeah, Angel and X-23, they get back from banging. Like this is them, like they're done with their weird honeymoon thing that they just sort of like left and.
Yeah, everybody knows when you first start dating somebody, you take like a 2-week long boning trip.
Yeah.
Like the first day.
Yeah, where you bone, you go to bars, you beat up people in bars.
Yeah.
Then you leave to bone some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the
that's normal
dudes you beat up. But you leave them alone after you beat them up.
Yeah.
You're going on top of the dude you beat up.
So they get back just in time for the actual, like, the primary Universe X-Men team. Well, shit, I guess they're both the primary Universe X-Men team. But the contemporary primary Universe X-Men team.
The current.
Yeah. Well, they're both current, right? Because they both exist in the same time. Older Scott, his team. There you go.
The Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah, those ones. Why did it take me so goddamn long to get to Uncanny X-Men? They just got the news that Xavier's last will is being read, so then they leave to go do that. So this is like way back like a whole week before where we currently are. Like,
Well,
which,
the last thing we covered on Uncanny was Original Sin.
yeah, reading the last will, but
Yeah.
like since then, Wolverine's dead. Axis happened.
It's been a long, like, day.
Basically,
A
yeah,
lot of
like
shit
it's
has
about a week long.
Thor lost his hammer. Like, some shit went down in that time. Tony
Yeah.
Stark built fucking monster sentinels to destroy mutants and everybody.
Yeah, that was a Red Skull, but yeah,
No,
Tony
it
Stark
wasn't
built
the Red
it.
Skull's hands.
no, but influence. He made him do it in the back of his mind, be all crafty.
I feel like Red Skull was just like, you should build some sentinels.
You
He's
know
like,
what it
Fuck
proves?
yeah, but it's your fault you gave me that.
It
now.
proves that with prep time, Tony Stark can do almost anything.
Yeah,
I'm
didn't
aware I was
those-
screwing up.
Didn't those Sentinels still get wrecked though?
Yeah, because of a glaring blind spot that, like, oh wait, but I'm not going to account for villains.
Yeah, it was dumb.
I'm only going to account for the hero super people.
He didn't think,
and not for all super people.
He needed more prep time.
You don't know who wouldn't have made that mistake? Batman probably still would have.
Yeah,
Prep time is the biggest bunch of bullshit.
Batman's even worse because he doesn't build the shit. So
Yeah, he just goes buys it from
or makes
from
Alfred do
Morgan
it.
Freeman.
Buys it from Morgan Freeman. He
no,
does.
I trust Morgan Freeman more than I do Batman.
Which is his own, which is himself too. I mean, it's his own company,
Yeah,
so he buys it from himself.
Yeah, Batman's a criminal because he purchases like, was it 10,000 bat ears to hide the suspicion of buying
two.
one set of bat ears. Which is just laundering money.
Well, they were radios, right? It was like a intercom system, like it was like an antenna and intercom thing. So like he
The
could
Patriot
talk.
Act?
No,
How they spied on all of
No,
Gotham.
I'm saying what he was literally buying was like the radio parts, but they happened to be triangles. So he bought triangles of radio parts, and made them bat ears because silly, you know.
Just saying that the Dark Knight's moral is trying to say that George Bush was right.
No, because they shut it up. They shut it down. Do it once, and then no more.
Yeah. Do you not see the...
No, George Bush was like, "We'll do it once, and we'll keep it."
Yeah, though, like, sometimes in extreme circumstances, you spy on everybody.
Mm-hmm. And then you blow it up. That's how you know who's a good man. Dick Cheney, not a good man.
Enough
They were
about
like, did you blow up the Patriot Act thing? And he's like, what? What now? Who? Because
Too much Batman. Too much Dick Cheney. Too much George Bush.
Dick Man.
Dick Man's a sidekick.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson. All right, anyway.
Back to X-Men.
You'd think Dick Man already would be an X-Man, too.
I'm sure he was. We got iBoy.
He didn't make the team.
For obvious
He's gonna be Dick Man's definitely gonna be an X Factor with iBoy and fucking Polaris.
Oh, he's a hit on Krakoa, but there's nothing to do on the field.
I'm picturing basically Spike, but it's Dick's.
Oh, no.
Then he is useful on the field. If that's the case.
Yeah, just throwing dicks at the enemy.
People are just
Think of
running
how-
away at that point.
Yeah, think of how many people they'd beat just because they're scared of a dick getting thrown at them.
Dicks! Just dicks flying and hitting you in the face, you're done.
Oh, man.
Him and Dicken are best friends.
Dickon. So, all right. Yeah. So the X-Men leave for the last will thing, and they're all like, so what do we do now that the teachers are away? And Young Beast is like, well, we train and we study. And
They're
you're
let's start Krakoa early.
Who's pulling a Cyclops?
yeah,
By saying train. Normally he'd be like, well, I'll be in my lab
yeah.
doing science stuff.
Well, Younger Beast isn't as much of a dick as Older Beast yet.
No.
So
Yeah, but he's just in love with his lab as Older Beast is.
he is.
Yeah, normally it was Cyclops being like, yo, we should train. And they're all like, no. Why are you such a nerd? But he basically took that spot since Cyclops is in space with a mustache.
He even has the visor.
It's face with a mustache. That's his whole. That's all he's doing is having a mustache in space.
So, Beast is like, well, we should study and train, and they're like, but no, really. And then I think Celeste makes a joke about how they should bang and restart the mutant population, which is weird because the mutant population is already restarted.
Barely.
Sure.
It's just them.
She's also just fucking with him because she's like, Cable ain't here.
Yeah.
That's a joke about the Cable book. And then Jean tries to go bond with X-23, and X-23 is like, hey, I'm not having it. And she's like, but, please? And she's like, no.
Tell me about that bird dick.
And then...
I've heard his bones are hollow.
You were talking about Terry Dodson, about how he's like good, close, and then bad, far. I feel like this is the same exact thing, because when X-23 and Jean are talking, like the close-up's really good, and then they just get like, a couple feet back, and it's like all loss of detail.
Yeah. I thought you said pterodactyl, like a dinosaur.
That does sound like a dinosaur. A pterodactyl.
I need Terry Dodson to make that fan art.
It's a Power Ranger pterodactyl. Fucking morphs. But they just like evolve, like they turn into some sort of like female politician in a pantsuit. Because that also is what it sounds like.
Like the other Power Rangers are like side-eyeing the transformation as a Mastodon.
X-23's reluctant to bond. She's like, I don't do that sort of thing, and I don't know if Warren's so great, because Jean's like, Warren's great, really? And she's like, look, I'm a psychic. And right now, Bobby's trying really hard not to seem gay, and he's asking how the sex was with a woman.
He's doing that thing where he's like, man, how'd her vagina look? And he's like, what? No, nobody talks like that.
And she's like, Warren isn't even saying any details about the sex you guys were obviously having while you were gone. And she's like, you know what? Maybe you guys aren't so bad. And so they kind of bond a little bit, those two.
A little bit. I don't think that comes back, though.
No, not at all.
Here's Beast. He's like, let's train. I'm going to my lab.
Yeah, you guys should train.
Basically. And then Angel's like, hey, what are you doing in here? He's like, I'm fucking with Cerebro.
You know what I think it is? I think he was like, let's train, and then he's got a train set in his lab. Shows him, and he's like, choo-choo, I'm training you guys.
He's got a fucking giant model train set because he's a nerd.
He's got the conductor's
Oh my god, he would. This is where I thought the writing was a little weird, though. I didn't actually check. This was Bendis, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, did Bendis really write this? Because Beast says, tinkering with Cerebro, the mutant finding technology. Like, no shit, Beast. We know what the fuck it is.
I think that's the Stan Lee thing, Like, every comic is someone's first comic. So,
but they stopped doing it.
In Marvel, but they
throw
tend
it in
to,
every once in a while where it's like.
But it's like, if you're reading an X-Men comic book, how the fuck don't you know what Cerebro is?
Cerebro's been there forever.
Yeah, on issue 31.
Yeah. So, he's fucking with Cerebro, and Angel's like, hey, should you be fucking with Cerebro? And he's like, didn't tell me I couldn't. So, that's got to be allowed, right? Because they didn't say it wasn't allowed. That's how rules work?
No.
It's not like I'm going to grow up to break the space-time continuum or anything.
Yeah, learn
because no one tells me not to. And then blame it all on Bobby.
Future Beast should know magic now, right? Like current Beast?
No, he doesn't get into it yet. He gets into it.
No, I mean like Krakoa Beast. He should know magic now, right?
Oh yeah, he should.
Because they got all the memories.
Yeah, maybe he's like, fuck that noise. Been there, done it. Garbage. What? Oh, does this keep smacking?
Yeah, and it's hard to edit over.
So I just got a short cord. You're making me a little self-conscious here.
Not everybody could have a big package.
Alright, so Yeah. While they're talking about the ethics of tinkering with Cerebro, a giant mutant signature shows up on Cerebro, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" And then Beast's like, "Well, my expert opinion says that it's either a mutant being born or getting their mutation." Like, no shit. Like, I don't know if Bendis is trying to make Beast look like a dick,
but it's fucking working.
Which, by the way, he is. Emphatically, in everything he's writing, he is trying to make Beast look like a dick.
Yeah.
But this Beast, I don't know if he's trying to do that or if it's just wonky dialogue. But because it's also so dramatic, because it's showing the panels of this new mutant, and her powers bursting forth.
Yeah, I think it's more he's trying to explain everything again. Like, for some reason, he's just like, issue 31, we gotta re-explain everything.
Then that must have been some sort of weird editor note. Because...
Yeah. Nobody knows what you're talking about, Brian.
It makes Beast sound like such an asshole. He's talking to Angel, who, by the way, Angel knows what Cerebro is. He's telling Angel Cerebro's the mutant finding machine. And then he's telling Angel, well, a mutant signature like that is either a mutant's born or their powers manifested.
It's a second mutation, which I've never heard of Cerebro detecting a secondary mutation.
Yeah, and also there's no sign that it is a secondary mutation with the mutant because it looks like it seems like it's their primary mutation. Like they just are getting their powers.
Basically, as if like it flare, like let's say it would flare up when Emma got her diamond form.
Yeah,
even though she was already there, it would flare up big.
Maybe the signature that she is would be brighter or something. But this is a new one out of nowhere. So why would he think secondary? Especially since
you said one or the other. Either a new mutant's being born. I don't think he means like born, but like they became a mutant.
Yeah, you don't have your mutant powers when you're born.
Yeah, so either
most of the time, sometimes you do.
Oh, see, I took it as he means literally a mutant is being born and their power is that powerful that it's manifesting at birth, or they're gaining their power. It makes them a bit pretentious in a specious way to be like, "Oh, now you're born." If you're like 27 and finally get your powers.
You mean like
people?
How religious people do
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
But he didn't say or getting their powers. He said second mutation.
Yeah, I just chalked it up to him being an asshole.
Well, it's ridiculous in the first place because they know what the fuck Cerebro does. So,
whatever. He's the expert on Cerebro. We're not. He knows it's a
apparently
mutant finding machine.
Looks like he didn't know what he was doing in there though, pressing buttons.
Those goggles make it so hard to see what everything is.
I love you say that though, like you know what those buttons do. It's like I saw what buttons he was pressing. Those aren't the right ones.
He just sees that he's pressing them with no confidence.
Probably missed the button with those big beast hands.
Yo,
hey man, like you ever try to dial on a fucking phone with big ass thumbs? Like imagine him trying to use Cerebro computers.
He probably was like so like jealous of Cyclops that he got the yellow visor so he could see everything in yellow too. Except now it's fucking up what buttons he could see to push the right ones. Yeah,
maybe all the buttons are color coded.
I feel like he's got to get a special keyboard. It's like twice the size.
Yeah, like
for toes.
His keyboard is those fucking floor pianos that they have in toy stores.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, they find out there's a new mutant, and that new mutant happens to be just some random girl who's like in a band, but not like any band, like a marching band, and they're taking some sort of school photo, and then suddenly her mutant powers manifest, and everyone starts freaking out, and they're like, "Kids, do the new mutant protocols."
Under your desk.
I feel like you'd be like, kill it.
Like I feel like they do have like how they had those protocols in the 40s that like if a nuclear bomb goes off, you just put your hands over your head and cover, and that'll keep you safe.
God, that's so hilarious.
Like in that South Park where they have to lay down and put their hands over, and the lava will pass over them.
Well, have you ever been to Waterford Mott?
Yes.
All right. So they have that whole, I think it's the 400 hall that's just glass. And when we do tornado drills, if we were in a classroom at the end of that hall, we would have to walk through that hallway to get to the designated safe zone. So you're just walking through a hall of death. That's like, well, clearly
it's a trial.
Glass. It's a trial.
You have to walk over the glass like you're in Die Hard.
I'm just saying, the genius never ends. The ingenuity of these people to come up with, put your hands behind your head in case there's a nuclear attack, or, walk through a hall of glass in case of tornado.
Yeah, there's a fire, stick your hand up your ass. That'll save you.
So anyway, it's the rift that we see in the dimension early on in the book with Tony and Amadeus, we see now is sort of forming around the abdomen of this girl. And she ends up in the what would be the House of M timeline, which is weird, like that dimension. And that's weird because I figured that would cease to exist, right? As soon as she was all like,
I mean, it might
no
cease
more
to
mutants.
exist, but you can still see it.
Oh, so it's like light
Yeah, like there's still like
fragments.
the future of that timeline ceased to exist, but there's still that part of the timeline.
Yeah.
Just like a broken piece out there just floating. So you could eventually, because like Age of Apocalypse timeline is done, but you can travel to the Age of Apocalypse timeline.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. So yeah, she ends up there. She's all freaked out because she's seeing them all fight, and then she jumps from there to
A castle.
a castle. Yeah, like
No, that's Thor's place.
like
What
an
is that?
Asgardian.
Asgard, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know
Also,
what different dimension that would be,
the
unless it's
portal-
literally she's at Asgard.
The portal on her chest, though, looks like centuries. So.
I know it does.
Yeah. And then she ends up in another. Well, no, she ends up back, right? And the X-Men show up, and they're like, "Hey, you all right?"
Well, not back if she started out in the Ultimate Universe. Now she's in...
No, she's not in the Ultimate Universe.
I thought you said she was in the Ultimate Universe at first.
No. I said the portal that shows up around her abdomen is it
House of
resembles the one from the Ultimate Universe. So I'm assuming it closes because she manifests her powers, and like now that portal's part of her or something. So she ends up back where she started, and the X-Men show up, and she's like, "Where am I?" And they're like, "We're the X-Men. We're here to help you." And she's like, "You're not the X-Men. I must not be home because you're all too young." They're like, "No, we're definitely X-Men." And she's like, "Well, where's the guy with the goggles?" And they're like, "Oh, he's not here right now." And then Beast got
he
really
is.
sad. 'Cause like, he was like, "But I got the goggles on."
He took them off and threw them on the ground. Useless.
It's like they don't even notice these.
Like, oh, Beast is here.
He should get his own style and just keep rocking that future apocalypse version that he was trying to do at the beginning of the story. That was like the one time he looked cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, with that trench coat.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to explain to her that she's a mutant, and she keeps going, "No, I'm not a mutant." And they're like, "Yeah, you're a mutant." And she's like, "No, I don't know if I was a mutant. I'm not a mutant." And then
crap.
Bobby has kind of a funny line where he's like, "Is your mutant power denial? Because you're a mutant. Like, you're obviously a mutant."
Also, I'm just now realizing why I like that version of Beast, and it's because it looks like that lion guy from Digimon.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Bobby was like, "Look, Beast told me he uses Cerebro. Apparently it's this mutant finding technology that he's got."
I don't know what it does. You just keep on explaining it to me, and
But I trust him. He says you're a mutant because it says you're a mutant, so you're a mutant. It also says you were born today, so happy birthday.
Yeah, Beast was being real weird.
what do I hear that in Tommy Wiseau's voice? Wow, happy birthday.
They're like in the middle of a field, and he's like, "I need a blood and a urine sample."
Yeah, he's being real gross.
So, are you on your period? I'm working on a theory. Iceman's like, "It's not a good one."
They do all flip out on him a little bit, where she, like, Jean and X-23 look at him like, "The fuck you just say?" When he asks her if she's on her period, and then then asks for blood and urine. I don't think That's a great way to introduce yourself to somebody.
Also, shout out to Marvel Unlimited. Because the description for all new X-Men issue 31 is Iceman Unleashed. Young Bobby Drake takes to the offensive. For someone who said she doesn't find him particularly pleasant to be around, Laura seems to have taken an odd interest in Warren. So, like, when did Bobby do all that? Was it just that line?
I think so. I think that's...
He's out of control.
He's got 2 lines, right?
It's probably based off the cover, because on the cover of the issue, it's him throwing a snowball.
Yeah.
So he takes the offensive.
Bobby Unleashed.
Winner of the snowball competition.
Featuring Dickman. First appearance.
First appearance.
In Bobby Unleashed.
Yeah. Bobby Unleashed is Dickman.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, that's his alter ego. He becomes Dickman. He makes a bunch of ice dicks.
Oh,
this is not good. Don't do that if you're listening at home. Don't make ice dicks.
Ouch.
it's been done. Don't do it again.
What have you done, Justin?
Damn it. It's not how I wanted this to come out.
I'm sure it's not. It's stuck to the sides, so it's definitely not how you wanted it to come out.
I was kind of waiting until I won the ice sculpture competition to let you guys know.
Yeah, the picture on the front of the newspaper.
First place.
And just you bent over with your hand on a frame.
No, it's got to be big. All about the girth. I'm just going to be standing there with a hand on it.
Just make it a statement.
What's that trope where they put like their tongue on like an ice thing and they get stuck?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Sucked.
It's like that, but with his butthole.
She's in denial, and then police start showing up, and she starts freaking out because, police, she's a mutant, X-Men are there, but she doesn't recognize them. The guy with the goggles just isn't around. So how could she be safe? And then she uses her powers again because freaks out. And then Bobby ends up in just this really dark place. And he's like, man, it smells terrible. It smells like...
He's in a bottle.
Like a cat pooped after eating Little Caesars.
Yeah, that was a great
line. That was a great line. I couldn't remember the line exactly, so I didn't want to butcher it. And then... it turns out he's with the Mole Man, so apparently that's what he smells like, and that is vivid.
Yeah,
it's
real
believable.
And yes, conceivable. I feel like the Mole Man exclusively only eats Little Caesars.
Probably out of dumpsters, too.
Also,
so
now that you mentioned conceivable, I picture that the Mole Man sounds like that dude from Princess Bride.
So then Jean materializes in the middle of the street, and cars are coming at her, and she's like, "Oh no, cars!
I'm a badass all of a sudden.
I'm allergic to those." She ends up flying up onto a roof, and then like a red flash like seems to whack her in the back of the head.
Dickman.
But it turns out to be
Damn
Miles.
you, Barry Allen.
It turns out to be Miles, and I just thought that was so weird. Like, why would Miles just like hit her? So like, is it just like the whoosh of him showing up like startled her?
Yeah,
but like looking at it, it looked like she got hit. And then Miles is all like, "What'd it do?"
Yeah, so she's in the Ultimate Universe now.
Yep. And that's the end of that.
Yeah, that car was
that
flying
story
at her.
never continues.
She picked that car up and just like set it down, and then flew, which she's not doing a lot at this time. So.
Well, she's been psionic like how many times?
She's been trying, yeah.
So she's been super powerful. It's conceivable she can fly now.
No, she can, but she doesn't do it enough.
I mean,
how dare you tell her what to do with her body?
Come on, man. If you could fly, you'd be flying all the time.
It's one of those things where it's like she's got such power and she doesn't use it a lot. That's Jean's whole thing.
Except the thing that's annoying.
And not do it.
She uses the one thing that's super annoying all the time. Is reading people's thoughts without their permission.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe it's like what requires more effort, Like it seems like telepathy, thoughts spill out, so that's probably like really easy to do. Whereas it always seems like a telekinetic person has to try to pick up stuff, and her flying is just her using her telekinesis on herself. So maybe she's just like, fuck, I ate that extra donut today. I'm a little bloated. I'm gonna be heavy, and then like
I'll take the
doesn't want to
stairs.
fly. Yeah,
You know the mind of women so well.
It's like the Force. Like, yeah, I can lift that whole, what is it, the X-Jet, but lift myself? No. Not happening.
That was such a weird thing when everyone got mad at like Carrie Fisher for like using the Force to not die in space.
Where she Mary Poppins herself back into the spaceship.
Yeah,
Got
but
no
like,
weight in space, though.
Like, what do you expect her to do to show?
She
Force
would use the
powers?
Force. She farted.
all the bean burritos before then came in handy.
But there's no sound in space, so
Yeah.
you couldn't.
So nobody knew. She was like, "Yeah, the Force, definitely."
It forced a fart out.
Speaking of forcing, I'm gonna force this transition. Uncanny Annual, Volume 3, Number 1.
No,
because there's only one.
All new annual.
No, Uncanny. Uncanny Annual, then all new annual.
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit that so I sound smart.
So, Eva Bell just falling through time. Just falling.
Just singing Linkin Park. But replacing.
I thought Korn.
That
falling
I was
away
thinking
from me song?
Yeah, that. But I was thinking instead of crawling, she's screaming falling.
Oh, falling in my skin?
Yeah.
I guess in a sense, because she's time traveling.
The art was pretty dope on this stuff with all the time traveling.
Dude, I so disagree with you.
Really?
Well, actually, no. All right, so I kind of agree with you. It does look cool, but
I couldn't disagree with you more. Well, we're on the same page.
But like I think they look good as art pieces, and I think that it's so confusing story-wise. I feel like there's so many weird color layers that happen that it was hard to follow what was happening. Like I had to reread it a couple times to like.
They did that like sponge art, right? The coloring.
Well, I don't know that they did sponge art. I just know that they overlaid weird stuff. Like every time the artist, I don't even know who they are off the top of my head. But every time they add an extra box to emphasize something that happens in a panel, I feel like it actually takes away from me understanding what's going on.
It was Andrea Sorrentino.
Yep. She likes making extra boxes.
Yep.
There's some stuff like how it starts right here, and it automatically starts with her traveling through time, so it shows like a bunch of windows.
Yeah.
Splash across the panel, and that's pretty dope. And that happens multiple times when she's traveling through time.
Yeah, the time travel stuff all makes, like, that's all pretty dope. But then we have, like, there are parts where it's just sequential art telling the story.
Yeah.
And then she's just adding extra frames for no reason, and then changing the tint of the frames just because it's pretty. I don't know. It looked great.
It was definitely a unique art style altogether.
It just felt like a lot. So it took me a while to really figure out what was going on. Like, there's a part in the all-new one, and I'll bring back up when we get to it, that, like, I couldn't comprehend it right away. I was like, what the fuck just happened? But anyway, so Eva Bell, falling in her skin. Her wounds, they will not heal. The rest of the song coming out and not my notes.
That's all you can think is.
All I could think was the next lyrics of the song while I'm staring at my notes. All right, anyway.
She's confusing what is real.
She is. I am confusing what is real. So bringing it back around to Tony Stark genocides.
How hard are your elbows?
My bad. Bringing it back to Tony Stark genocide.
It's a topic I always love to talk about.
Yeah. So she ends up falling super forward in time. And it looks like aliens are invading the planet, and there's this guy, Jonathan Raven. I don't know if he ties in at all, because like the other guy does.
That's
so maybe...
Arnold Schwarzenegger. What are you talking about?
Well, basically.
No.
But those robots around this time during
War of the Worlds, bring it back around to what I said before we started recording.
Yeah, But around, a little bit before this time, in the Iron Man books, Tony Stark did the Sentinel thing that the Red Skull did, but with schematics for these things because of the Mandarin. Like, the Mandarin got in his head and made him, like, low-key build some, like, these things that were supposed to end the world.
People keep doing that to him.
They do.
And he's supposed to have all these psychic guards.
But he doesn't, because he ends up doing it.
Yeah. Also, this thing with Eva Bell and all the Sentinels looks like a promo picture for Horizon Zero Dawn.
So anyway, I thought it was interesting because while it's aliens in this, those robots definitely were just in an Iron Man storyline where he accidentally built them and just like caused an apocalypse.
I mean, they don't say it's aliens, so.
Well, you're seeing aliens. You look at the panel, you see like spaceships and them. So
I'm not saying it was aliens, but aliens.
Yeah, and so this guy, Jonathan Raven, he's just hacking through a bunch of aliens, and he's all like, "Come with me if you want to live," literally. And she's like, "Who are you? Where are we? What's going on?" And he's like, in the future, hide in that old movie theater. And she's like, "I don't know if I want to do that." And he's like, "Hold on a second, I gotta cut some stuff in half." He goes, starts killing aliens. Another alien's like, "Hey, chick who's a human, who's not an alien."
The alien just hits a jukebox. Sit on it.
Yeah, he pulls his probe gun out. He's like, "Sit on it." She's like, "Oh no," and she time travels, and then she ends up in the past.
Out that alien has been played by Henry Winkler the whole time. Just the sweetest old man.
Right? That's so weird that he was the Fonz.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Those
actually.
STDs he got really humbled him.
He's fantastic in Barry. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a great show.
Haven't.
Okay. Well,
about Barack.
No. Bill Hader. He's a hitman. It's great.
Right.
He's a hitman who doesn't want to be a hitman, but he's great at being a hitman. But he wants to be an improv actor, and he's terrible at improv.
So he's Guillermo?
Well, sort of. He's sort of Guillermo. Yeah. All right. So anyway, she ends up in the past, and it's like kind of Wild Westy, and everyone in this town she appeared in is all like, "What the hell are you? What's wrong with your hair? What are your clothes made of? Are you a witch? We gotta take you to the sheriff. We think you might be a witch." They take her to the sheriff, and he's like, "Witches aren't real, but what the fuck did you do to your hair?"
Like, we got a weigher on a machine with a duck.
Yeah.
And if she weighs the same amount as a duck, then we kill her.
Yeah, 'cause she's a witch. Because ducks float, witches float.
Yeah. Ducks are made of wood. Wood catches on fire. So
you burn her.
If you burn the witch, she's a duck.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
All I know is she turns somebody into a newt.
You know, they get better. It's the height of British science.
Like that in Doctor Who.
Just the pinnacle. It's actually, it jumps straight from that to Sonic Screwdriver. It's insane.
Screwdriver.
What?
That's how he says
it. Anyway, she freezes everybody because she freaks out. And obviously that's one of her powers, where she freezes everyone in time.
Which?
You're right. And a guy who didn't get frozen shows up. A Johnny Bart who has met the Avengers. He's all like, "Hey, are you a time traveler? Because I met some time travelers."
If I remember correctly, he's an old Invaders character. Like, came out like in the 40s.
Oh, okay.
So he's like a timely comics character.
The Rawhide Kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got comics back in the day.
So he was all like, "You're not from around these parts," and she's all like, "Yeah, I'm a time traveler. My power is time travel, right? And I can't seem to use my powers. Like, they seem to only activate when I'm scared." And he's like, "Oh, well, then I should just put you out of your misery because you are a witch."
Witch.
You look like a duck. You look like a duck to me.
Yeah. Burn it.
And so she freaks out and time travels, and he's like, "All right, hope you do well," because he's a good guy after all, and he knew he had to scare her for her powers to work, at least to get her the fuck out of there, because they would have burned her for being a duck.
Yeah.
Probably not. They probably just would have all been frozen in time, but
They would have tried.
He saved her.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
He saved them.
Probably.
Well, really, if she would have just stick around and he didn't do that, then she would have just went through time when they caught up to her and she got really scared.
Yeah.
When you think about it, he did nothing. He just made it a little sooner.
Yeah.
Just a gratuitous, cameo for Rawhide Kid.
Yeah. So she ends up back in the future, but in 2099, and runs into the X-Men. And they're all like, who the hell are you? She's like, I'm Eva Bell. And like, no, really, who are you? And she's like, I'm Eva Bell, and I'm about to faint. And she faints.
Eva Bell? Do you know Goldballs? Because he's like huge here.
Yeah. They look at her wallet, and they're like, oh, wow, it's Eva Bell. And you know what? I want to take a second here. And I want to
talk to you about the horrors of STDs.
I want to give a shout out to the year 2099.
Great year.
Go fuck yourself, 2099.
Go shock yourself.
No. And that's exactly why. They should go fuck themselves. Because I hate the way they speak.
I do too. I can't read any 2099 comics because they're like, holy shock. Are you shocking kidding me?
Oh. Hearing these characters speak is the worst. And what's crazy is you're not hearing them, you're reading them. And and just imagining what they sound like is the worst.
They all sound like giant fucking nerds.
I want to know who these guys are because they don't look familiar, like the 2099 X-Men characters.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't. I read like 2 issues, but I have some of the books, and I see the characters and stuff, and they don't look like any of them. So.
I don't know if I might have a hard disagreement on any 2099 book you guys might ever want to cover because I
don't want
the dialogue so badly, and they could be great stories, but if they all speak in this manner, it'll enrage me.
Well, I feel like, too, that 2099 is kind of like a lesser Ultimate Universe where nobody really cares about anything except for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty cool.
Wrong.
And he's Mexican.
Talking about just Miles.
Well.
What?
Talking about just Miles.
Peter, too. Do you care about any Ultimate Universe
the
character
Ultimate
that's
X-Men.
not X-Men? Or that's not
just X-Men.
fucking Spider-Man?
Yeah, the X-Men run was great.
No, you're lying to yourself.
I'm not lying to myself.
I feel like up to Ultimatum and then after Ultimatum, I don't know if it was that good.
I don't know. I read all of it. It was like 19 trades. That was a shitload. It was good. It was written by a dude who wrote Walking Dead.
Right. I mean, is that before or after Cyclops gets shot in the head?
I thought Mark Miller wrote Ultimate X-Men.
No. Robert, whatever his name
Kirkman?
is. Yeah. I didn't read the part where Cyclops got... Because I didn't read Ultimatum, so...
Okay. So then that's all before Ultimatum. Because then they reboot... Well,
I didn't read...
Not exactly reboot, but they make like a sequel.
It's called Ultimate Comics X-Men. I didn't read that. Just the Ultimate X-Men, the original.
So Volume 1.
Yeah. Well, no, because the second one was called Ultimate Comics X-Men, so...
It's the X-Men after Ultimatum, and it's like Jean restarts the X-Men.
Yeah, I didn't read that. I got some of them, but I didn't collect them all yet. I know Colossus is on the cover of some of those. Dope covers, but didn't read them yet.
So, yep, she's with 2099, and they're like, well, we should take her to the Sorcerer Supreme because...
She's a witch!
Witch!
Yeah, because she's a duck. And they take her to the Sorcerer Supreme, who happens to be Magic. She graduates from being a bus driver, and she becomes the highest sorcerer in the land.
She kind of just becomes like the person who controls the radio and the schedule at the bus station because
the dispatch.
Yeah, just the dispatch because Eva Bell just went there to learn how to travel.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. So she's all happy to see her teacher, and she's like, "Oh wow, Eva Bell, that's right, I did teach you a long time ago." And she's like, "You got to be like in your 100." And she's like, "Yeah, I know, but magic, so I still look hot, you know." And then she's like, "Hey, you're not good enough to go back in time." She's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah. Turns out your powers, they suck.
Yeah,
you suck at controlling them. You can't go back. So, you know."
I conveniently lost my time travel powers too, so.
Yeah. So, I can't help you. But we can train together. I'll sit on air, you sit on these discs, and, we'll meditate on it.
Come over here and girls sit on my disc.
And then 7 years pass. And as they're meditating, they're interrupted by
an explosion.
Well, no, not that yet. They're interrupted by Ava's family because it's been 7 years. She's gotten married to a guy whose language I hate, and a child who just keeps saying, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry."
That's his name. He's a Pokemon.
And I don't know. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if that's like supposed to be baby talk, or does 2099, instead of saying "I'm hungry," say "I'm hungry"?
It's not
because it's 2099.
It's not "ma hungry." It's "I'm hungry."
It's an M. It's "ma hungry."
No,
it's an M because they're like not saying "I'm hungry." They're saying like "I'm hungry."
Yep,
I'm hungry.
Tony's seen a baby before.
So anyway, she's like, "All right, well, I gotta go," because the husband was all like, "You said you'd be done at 4. It's 4:30. Where's dinner? You know, I work all shocking day, and I get home, and you're not there."
What?
Because they're misogynists there.
Yeah.
Because they suck. 2099. It sucks. Everyone's terrible. And so she's like, all right, well, I'll be on my way. And then Magic's like, oh, hold up. Before you go, remember I said your powers suck. You can't use them. Stay here. Yeah, go home now.
Yeah, now that you had a family and a kid, you should leave.
I was waiting for you to have a family to tell you to go home.
Like, it would have been too convenient for you to go then. And now works better for me.
It's like, I've been working up the courage for 7 years to tell you I don't really like you. We need to leave.
Oh, and I guess it's worth noting, too, that, like, a descendant of Nightcrawlers is her, like, butler person.
Yeah.
The new Wong.
Yeah.
The Yarvis.
Is, Yarvis. The pirate. Yeah. But he just goes by Wagner. He's obviously Nightcrawler, but not Nightcrawler.
Yeah, looks just like him.
He doesn't get a first name.
He's rude.
Butlers don't get first names. Wong is his last name.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the first name. Jarvis, last name, no first name.
He could be one of those guys where it's like
cooler to call him by their last name.
Well, no, where he unfortunately has his first name is his last name. Like he's
like Mario.
Yeah.
It's probably like Ralph,
like Wong
Jarvis. So who wants that?
Ralph Jarvis.
Just call me Jarvis.
Or Jarvis Yarvis.
Jarvis.
I feel like calling Wong just a butler, though, is disrespectful.
That's what they use him for a lot, but he's way more than a butler.
Yeah, he is. I mean, even in the movies, he did a lot more than
be a
butler.
Well, he wasn't a butler in the movies.
Yeah. Exactly, he did more than be a butler.
He wasn't a butler.
Which is being more than a butler.
He was a butler in Endgame, kind of.
Was he, though?
Yeah, he's just...
I didn't see him serve drinks.
Oh, yeah, because you don't see somebody doing their job. Butler? They're not doing their job.
Exactly. I think that's how that works.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. All right, so...
this kid is still saying, I'm hungry. I want to point this out.
Okay, I don't care.
Because it's gonna come back.
Does it?
Yeah, you'll see.
Well, she says it again.
Yeah, this kid has been hungry for pages.
I thought it was a girl.
Somebody feed this child.
Yeah, basically. This child is being neglected.
And so...
Just cook the child and feed the child.
Oh.
Pull a Wolverine.
Solves all your problems. It feeds them and shuts them up.
Well, now I feel like you gotta cut something out.
No, that was good.
This is the first time I've ever felt like that. You're talking about a baby self-cannibalizing.
Baby back ribs.
Oh my god.
Barbecue sauce.
So, Ava's like, hey, you are kind of an asshole. You waited this long. I already have a family. And you're going to tell me I got to go home now? And you were like, hey, don't go home. You suck at your powers. And I thought we were friends. And she was like, nah, we were just sitting buddies. We're not really friends, but you got to go home. And she's like, you know what? Screw you.
She like mean girls him. Mean girls her to like go home.
Yeah. So she goes to her family and she's like, she wants me to go home. And he's like, what? You can't do that. And she's like, yeah, I ain't going to do that. And then explosion in a big ass fucking demon monster thing.
CPS shows up.
Feed the child.
Told you it came back.
Now, I don't know what this creature is, but it's real intimidating, and Magic is not doing great fighting it. Also, like, Eva beats it really fast, so that's weird. Well, I guess she doesn't quite beat it, right? She just freezes it right after Magic is mortally wounded. Even though, like, that panel does look, like, sweet as fuck, where she's, like, sort of telekinetically pushing her sword at the sword of the monsters, like, holding it at bay. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was some dope-ass art right there. Big splash panel.
Yeah. So anyway, she's dying, and with her dying breath, she tells Ava, you gotta go back home, and also...
Delete my search history.
Well...
Feed that damn child.
Fuck Beast, you know? Because, like, he's terrible, and make sure he stands trial. And she's like, what? What did Beast do? He's like...
Points at everything.
She's like, he's a dick. He keeps mansplaining Cerebro.
And then Beast never stands trial.
No, but he gets a little bit.
Hopefully
they just have an intervention. They put a banner up in the house, and he's like, what is this?
It's like him and Barry Allen should both be in jail for how much they fuck with time.
So, I don't quite know what triggers her powers, but her powers are triggered, and she starts falling backward in time.
Because that dude busts out of her time bubble.
Oh, that's what Oh, okay. See, that's what I mean. Like, the art's weird to me a little bit. It's hard for me to notice. I didn't realize he bust out. I just thought that was the effect that they kept drawing every time her powers were activating. So yeah, she shoots backward in time. Then there's a dinosaur.
A pterodactyl.
A pterodactyl, yes, comes rampaging at her. Triceratops. She freezes it in time, and then it breaks out of that, and then gets some weird green bolt shot through its head and dies. And she's all like, "Whoa, I'm a faint now." And does that because
my lordy.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, you know what? My bad. She just falls backward in time. That stuff all happens in the next one. So speaking of the next one, the next one. All new annual 1, because, it's one a year. So annuals work.
But no, it's not, though.
I know, it's not even how it
they just
works.
do an annual every once in a while. There's one annual.
Oh, there are plenty
shout
of
out
years
to
that don't
Marvel
even have
Unlimited.
it. Yeah.
There's one annual that says Uncanny X-Men Annual 2006 to 2009, and it's one issue.
So you got one issue.
It's the only annual for those years.
It took them forever. They just released it page by page, I guess.
Actually, no, that's 4 years, right? Counting each one of them. 2006 to 2009? Because I thought 3 years. No. Got math wrong there.
Well, I mean, if it just started in December and ended in January.
I guess. So, yeah.
How magnets work.
So, Ava, she freezes the pterodactyl. And it breaks free, and then it's killed by a random green bolt. And Ava faints, and someone's obviously, like, right there because they, shot the pterodactyl. And Ava has a nightmare of her baby, like, talking and not speaking in 2099 speak.
Yeah, baby's just like, fuck.
Doesn't say shock at all. And it's weird. Like, she just straight up haven't, like, hey, what did you want to be when you grew up, Mom? And she's all like, I wanted to be a geologist. And what's that? It's like, it's a rock scientist. And it's like, oh, that rocks.
But you're a geologist.
Rock scientist sounds cooler than
does.
scientist of rocks.
But scientist of rock.
That sounds cool, too.
That sounds like a role that, what's his face would
It
play.
sounds like a musical.
Jack
Russell
Black.
Brand.
Jack
would be
Black,
in.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Russell Brand and Jack Black in The Science of Rock.
I want to see that a little bit. I want want to see that a little bit. So anyway, we gotta write that down. It turns out, no, the nightmare, right? So the baby is all like, well, what I want to be is someone who marries a Mitch. You said Raries too. Who marries? Oh my god, I didn't sleep. Someone who marries a rich guy, so I don't gotta do nothing. And she's like, "Oh, okay, my little gold digger,
sugar daddy."
All right. Well, then let me introduce you to a guy named Xavier.
You're just his type.
Ew. Yeah. And then she's like, hey, why'd you let me die? Because she turns into like a fucking monster zombie baby. And
that was actually awesome.
Yeah.
It took a turn, and the art was great because she starts getting covered in blood.
Yeah, and like a hole just shows up in her forehead.
Which is weird. It's not like she was shot.
Shrapnel. That bubble exploding.
Because, she left that time, and that dude busts out the bubble, so probably killed her family.
Yeah, but then it turns out they don't exist.
That giant monster pulls out a fucking handgun. Shoots the baby in the head.
That's so fucked. Like, that's the epilogue of the book. She falls backward in time, and then the next page, they just pull out a fucking Glock.
Like, what's funny about this situation where a baby gets shot in the head by a giant 4-armed monster is the gun would have, for that hole, the gun would have to be like a regular size gun. So you'd have to be holding it with like a little like needle.
Or they grow another arm that's just like a normal size arm. So, it turns out that other person, Morgana Le Fay, and she's like, hey, so I know all about you because I'm magic, and I took some blood.
Like, you're not magic. I know magic.
I read your diary.
And I know you travel in time. I know where to go. Let me be your Google Maps, basically.
I know what you did last summer. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, I guess.
Every summer.
It was more like I know you where you were last summer, like 7 years ago.
Know who you did last summer. You made that baby.
She watched the whole scene.
And so Ava's freaking out because like Morgana Le Fay, evil sorceress and all the books, and she's like, I don't know about that, but we are stuck here, and that sucks. And Morgana's like, right? And then, she's like, we gotta team up. We gotta go. Use your powers, my powers. We get to where we gotta go, and it works out for everybody. And what's her face? Ava. That's who we're talking about. Ava's like, I got to get back to my family. And Morgana's like, yeah, stop that trash. You're not getting back there. They don't even exist anymore.
I murdered both of them.
And she's like, what do you mean they don't exist? And Morgana's like, well, that thing with the 4 arms grew a 5th arm. Shot them both in the head. It's crazy. They're not alive anymore.
Grew a baby arm.
Picture he's trying to cover up, so he's got like a shovel and just scoots him in.
But no, she's like, well, because you left, they only existed in that way because you were there, so they no longer exist in that way. None of that exists in that way anymore for you. And she's like, that can't be true. And she's like, well, it is true, so deal with it and also help me because it sucks here. And then a bunch of Neanderthals start attacking them, and she's like, see what I got to deal with? These things, every time they discover fire, use it to try to kill me because
you're a witch. A witch!
Yeah,
pretty much.
Witches. They think we're ducks.
Trying to make roasted ducks.
So, and she says the whole, they'll always
fear what they
don't understand, and hate because, mutants.
Would you think they would stop trying to burn her house down after she continuously
evaporates
them? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she vaporizes them, so like they don't know that happened.
Also,
the new ones.
I like that you said evaporates. Like she just heated them up until
gone,
turned into a fucking gas.
I mean, it looked like it. They did turn into a gas, not their bones, but their body was just vapor.
So yeah. I just had a real petty moment just then, because like I kept saying vaporize and you kept saying evaporate, And then you just said that their bodies became vapor, and I was just like, yeah, vaporized.
Same shit. No, I didn't disagree.
I know. I'm just really tired.
Why do you think they call it vaporizing? Water vapor.
I know. Exactly.
Blood vapor.
So Morgana kills all those Neanderthals, and then Eva's like, well, I'm gonna freeze you real fast because holy shit, are you an evil psycho duck? Because ducks are witches. If you learn anything from this, you learn that ducks are witches.
If your teachers ask you, ducks are witches.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, I gotta try and focus and get out of here. And that's part of the problem is that every time Eva actually focuses on using her power, it doesn't work. Because she's trash at her powers.
Yep.
Even 7 years training with magic as Sorcerer Supreme didn't help her not be
meditated.
trash.
She's like 26 now, right?
I guess so. Was she 19?
I thought she was. I could be wrong.
I feel like they didn't actually train her powers, though.
Yeah. So she's trying to time jump.
Fucking sat there and meditated for 7 years.
Because she says, like, I'll see you next week. They're not training that much.
She was like...
Just playing table tennis.
Magic was like, Blasian women. They're the hottest of all the women. Consistently. And she's like, no way. And she's like, go ahead. Sit here and think of an ugly one. And so for 7 years, she tried to think of an ugly one and couldn't think of an ugly one.
That's what happened.
Also, as a callback to a joke that's not even on the podcast. And then Morgana breaks out of the time bubble.
Which was dope because we haven't seen that. I don't think anybody broke out of one yet.
Yeah, and she shoots one of those weird hex bolt things at Eva, and Eva reflexively freezes the hex bolt thing. She does a Kylo Ren before Kylo Ren. When he stops the laser.
Which was also dope.
Force Awakens. And then Morgana's like, hey, I gotta apologize. You're way more formidable than I thought. Now go fuck yourself, and she shoots another one. And Eva, it triggers her powers, and she starts falling through time. And this time, she's trying to focus while she's kind of flowing through time. And they do this amazing splash page of like showing different eras of Marvel Comics. So you have 1944, and you have the Human Torch flying around, burning stuff up because, misunderstood robot. Then you have 1966, and it's the Fantastic Four fighting Galactus. And you have 2008 with the Skrull War. And then you have 2000 whatever with those future not X-Men Brotherhood guys for some reason because they're still canon. And then you have an undisclosed future.
It's just Mount Rushmore.
That's just XXXX. Well, it's Mount Rushmore, but with, I think Red Skull is part of it because it's just a skull. And he's the only character I could think of. So, like...
Xavier.
Yeah, I guess so.
Xavier.
Sin
Eater. Ghost Rider.
And then she ends up in the year 2000. So the XXXX thing confuses me because, like, they don't even know if that's in the 2000s. So she go forward in time, then backward in time to end up back at 2099. And they just show Spider-Man because they're like, yeah, we know. It's the only good thing about the 2099.
It's Mexican Spider-Man.
He's definitely the biggest 2099 character.
By far,
yeah.
It's like after him, it's like Doom.
Maybe.
I guess.
I wouldn't think so.
Like, who gives a shit about any of the other 2099 characters?
Yeah, the only one that really matters in, like, the 616 is Doom. The only other one who ever does anything.
I don't know. He didn't have too many issues, though. Did he just have one?
Well, he was mostly a bad guy, so...
I know he had a single issue. X-Men had a crapload of 2099 issues. They were probably trash.
One character. You can't name one character.
No, I can't.
Because they're shocking stupid.
I haven't read them, but they were probably trash, just judged based off when they came out.
Yeah, and then, like, maybe Frank Castle is up there. Or not Frank Castle, because it's a different Punisher. Whatever that Punisher's name is.
He had one. Hulk had one, too, where he looked ridiculous. He looked not like the Hulk. Kind of like a Claw, but not.
But, like, Claw looked cool and was just ridiculous in every other aspect.
Yeah,
like Mastro, or...
No.
Or is that a different thing?
I think he looked amphibious.
Amphibious.
Now I look this shit up. I'm over here talking, I don't know for sure.
He's making all this up, people.
All right, so anyway, Ava realizes she finally recognizes her surroundings when she gets to 2099. And she runs to her house, and it turns out her husband's fucking another lady because a different lady comes out of the house. And then she's like, hey, it's my home. That looks terrible. Justin just showed us a picture of the Hulk, and it's bad. It looks like...
The lizard.
Worse than the lizard? You know what? Who's that dragon guy?
A Savage Dragon?
Savage Dragon. It looks like a worse Savage Dragon that, like, fused with the lizard.
Yeah, just looking at it, I never wanted to read that. I'm like, that's a no.
That looks like... So Todd McFarlane would love that.
So it turns out that, like, her husband doesn't live there and her baby's not there because it died of malnourishment. Or a bullet. Who knows? It was never fed, or it was fed lead. Who knows? And this lady's like, I don't know who those people are. I don't know who you are. This is my house, so please leave, weird lady. And she goes on her way, and she's like, oh no, well, I'll go to the Sanctum Sanctorum. I said that wrong, I think.
You said it weird, but you said it right.
Okay.
You hit all the letters, but you said like you were unsure of yourself, so you're like Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, she goes there. She sees Wagner, and she's like, "Oh, sweet, a person I know." She hugs him, and he's like, "Hey, don't do that."
It's pronounced Wagner.
Yeah.
Okay. It was pronounced something worse, probably in 2099.
Shockner.
You
think everybody's just huge fans of the Shocker?
Yes.
Or is Shocker actually fucker?
2099 Shocker isn't Shocker, it's fucker. Oh man. So
with that tail,
Wagner's like, hey,
Wagner could give a good Shocker with that tail.
Oh, that might be the dirtiest thing you said on this.
There's no way that's true.
So
might be the dirtiest thing I'll leave in.
Ava's like, I gotta see her, and Wagner's like, who the fuck's her? And
the movie.
Only you'll get this with fucking Ryan Gosling falls in love with the phone. So anyway, anyone listening to this is like, that's not Ryan Gosling. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
With a sex doll.
Just mix it up again. Anyway, so she doesn't understand because he's like him, not her. And she's like, what do you mean? And then she goes to see what she thinks is magic, and it's not magic. It's the new Sorcerer Supreme, and she thinks, okay, Doctor Strange. And he's like, I'm not Doctor Strange. I'm Dr. Stark.
I can see how you'd be confused with the awesome goatee.
Yeah.
And the same exact cape.
And all goateed, brunette, white guys looking the same.
But he did decide to put a fucking arc reactor where his dick is. So, he's power fucking.
That's the power of the shrapnel in his cock.
It is a weird spot to put it.
Works wonders. I'll tell you that.
I feel like that's definitely what he did.
So much bigger than the one in his heart, too.
It is so much bigger.
Needs more power.
I think what happened, what is it called? When guys start just like having flaccid penises when they get older. Erectile dysfunction. So like it's his way to combat erectile dysfunction, or his way to overcorrect his overuse of dick pills because of his ED.
Well, he's a former alcoholic.
Exactly. So what if he got really hooked on dick pills? Because
I don't think that happens.
No, I know, but because he couldn't get erections, right?
Yeah. So when you drink too much, you stop getting erections.
So made it sound like he's just getting high off dick pills.
No.
He's melting a dick pill into a spoon.
No. Dick pills. Let me fucking finish my point. So, like,
that's what he's making, dude. Just screaming at the pills. Let me finish.
So, all his blood is flowing to his dick constantly, so he's very lightheaded, and he needed a larger arc reactor to handle the blood flow in the area. Like he just so it stops him from like clotting, probably. Just helps balance his body back out.
I think you just attach things to that.
Like he just puts a giant fucking.
He's built attachments
machine
for that.
Yeah.
That which one you want?
That also is a Stark thing to do.
This is just to murder mutants.
So anyway, he's like,
some giant battery, like giant batteries that are hanging behind him too.
No, he has like these weird robot, like servant things.
That look like disappointed mothers.
They look like if a disappointed mother was a battery.
Yeah, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
If Iron Man was a disappointed battery mother.
So he thanks Eva for leaving Morgan Le Fay trapped in the past at the dawn of humanity because, crazy evil bitch. Yeah. He's like, I know everything that happened to you is terrible and it's very sad, but let me just tell you, it's all worth it for the fact that you left that crazy bitch there because she would be awful to just have to talk to.
She's the worst.
She's the worst. Like, I like that it's not even that like she's a giant global threat of a character. It's like he doesn't like having to hear her at dinner parties.
Well, because they go to the same parties.
Yeah. Well, he's still a member of the Hellfire Club. Like, had been like through all their evil times.
Yes, I think Tony Stark might be a villain.
Well, because I think so was Xavier, though.
You're not helping your point. You're not helping your point at all.
My point only was to say that for some reason a lot of people bought into the duality of the Hellfire Club. But Xavier definitely knew what it was, so he really is a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's terrible. Man. So anyway, Stark thanks Eva, and then he agrees, though, with Morgana. He's like, but
your family's dead.
Your family is gone. Like, you can't go back to them. I know you want to go back. You're trying to find them, and you got here, and they're not here. It's because it doesn't work like that. Because of the butterfly effect. You know what the butterfly effect is? And she's like, I know Ashton Kutcher. And he's like, yeah, Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, he's like, plus I watched what happened to your family after you left, and it was like the ending of the 99 Problems music video. Like, it was just fucking going off.
What if she does go back to the right time, but it's just a couple days later?
Or like a minute later?
No, it has to be longer than a minute later. But let's say a month later, right? So there's a new Sorcerer Supreme because Magic's dead. So it's him, and like, oh no, your husband and your daughter don't exist anymore because they got capped by that demon. Like, you just came back too late.
That makes me think that the demon had a giant shield and just squished him.
He does do that.
Yep.
He does shield bash mutants in the face because, like, that's his move. It's one of his signature moves.
Well, every other reality that's not the main universe, Cap is just like a monster. Like, he's a mutant hunter in some universes and shit. Even in this one, he's a Nazi.
Speaking of, so a weird thing about Cap, he dressed up like Captain America. I saw a photo and he's a fucking traitor.
Say it ain't so, Justin.
Pointing out Justin.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Did you? Why?
Because that's what $15 get you at Halloween USA.
You walked in, you were like, I want to embarrass myself. And they're like, Captain America, eh?
Yeah, no. I think you have a... All right, so
I was Thor as well, but Thor's way cooler than Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw it randomly because I was trying to figure out why I would have friend requested this guy because I got a notification on Facebook. It was like, hey, whoever accepted your friend request. And I was like, who is this person? Like, I don't remember sending him a friend request. But then it said we were mutual friends. So I like looked at the photos, tried to like have some sort of context. I was like, oh, maybe was I drunk? Were we at a thing where I was drunk? And then I saw a photo of him dressed as Captain America, and I was like, oh, that traitorous person. Turns out I have no idea who the fuck this guy is. And I think I accidentally sent a friend request, and then he was just like, yeah, I guess. And so then I unfriended him because I don't know who that guy is.
You're sending that guy mixed signals.
Yeah, it was really awkward. Or not at all. I don't know.
Probably was a drunk thing.
That's
what normally happens.
But it would have had to been from so long ago because I don't really drink often.
Yeah, there's 5 moments that it could have been.
What it had to have been for you to forget. It had to have been long ago.
Yeah, or I'm thinking like I just did it accidentally because they're always like, hey, you might know this person. Yeah. Friend request them like just randomly on the Facebook pages on your phone.
Oh.
But whatever. Anyway.
I have to edit this so much.
Dr. Stark was all like, I'll help you get back to your time, sort of, after I explained to you the butterfly effect.
So Ashton Kutcher, right?
Basically. And then, so they end up back in Tabula Rasa, and Eva's like, oh, this is Tabula Rasa. This is where I was. Thank you. And he's like, nope, you're not there. I mean, you're there, but decades from there because I'm going to be a little asshole to you.
He's like, I can't time travel. They just move in space, not time.
But he does move in time? Right? Like, they go back.
He said, I can't travel in time. You have to do that.
Ah, okay. All right, now I understand the context of it. I was thinking he did go back in time, but to be an asshole, he doesn't go all the way back. Because he's like, well, it's just a few decades. I can see where you think that
because Stark.
Stark, exactly.
Your favorite character, Tony Stark, stand-up guy.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, 2099, Tabula Rasa is still there. Makes sense. It's only a few decades.
That's literally what he says.
It is what he says. It's just... I think I was expecting him to Stark it so hard that, like, he was just like, oh, I'm taking you back, but, like, 20 years away from, like, when they're actually there, just so you have to figure out your power. But...
He does it so it's just super annoying, so he takes her back there, but, like, 3 days before, so she's got to sit around for 3 days waiting for the X-Men.
Redoing the same shit.
So, anyway, so she concentrates that this time and then ends up back in the right time because she figures her powers out.
They're like, hey, you've gotten old in the last hour.
Not even though, right? Like, because remember that issue, no one even remarks on her hair being longer or anything like that, really. Yeah. And then obviously Celeste picks up on it because, and they reiterate this moment where Eva asks Celeste, like, hey, I know you can read my mind and you know what happened. Please don't tell anybody. But it's weird because so can the other two, and she didn't say anything to them.
Yeah, but this one's a bitch.
She's probably reading her mind against her permission.
So, she should have been more stern with it. Like, hey, if you fucking say anything, I'll fucking murder you in your sleep.
I guess it's how she said it, right? She said, hey, I know you can read my mind, so you know. Not like, hey, I just felt you in my mind.
But she wouldn't.
So.
You know who would know that she aged? Xavier.
His boner would finally wilt.
I find myself strangely unattracted to you now.
Yeah, so everyone's like, hey Ava, you alright? She's like, yep, I'm fine. And she's clearly not fine.
So she like changed back into those clothes? Did she like keep those clothes around for 7 years and change back into them?
Did she happen to just be wearing them for some reason?
For 7 years?
No, she didn't buy any
new. She made a baby but didn't get new clothes?
Maybe, you know what it is? Maybe Magic was just waiting for her to put back on the clothes she showed up in to tell her, all right, now you got to get your ass out of here. And she took 7 years to put back on the clothes. Because remember,
the stomach's ripped.
Remember what the 2099 X-Men said? Is that's so retro, it's not retro, and it's still gross, basically. But they didn't say retro. They said an even worse word, because of course they did. But they were like, that's so old school that it's actually gross and not cool.
It's just a weird concept.
And so maybe she had to wait for
it's
fashion.
like her laundry day clothes.
Maybe she had to wait for fashion to cycle back around. It's 7 years. The trend had a,
which also, by the way, makes it 2,106.
Yes.
Yeah. It does. It does.
I just always found it weird that everything in that universe happens in 1 year.
Not even. Anyway, speaking of fashion trends, we have a TeePublic account.
Yeah. Are you trying to say we're up on the latest trends? We are. T-shirts.
Yes, our TeePublic, we have so many shirts and onesies, and there's a phone case. You can get a laptop case.
No, like
you can get a sticker.
There's a phone case.
There's one.
There's just one.
Be the first to get it.
Yeah.
No, be the last to get it.
Set trends. Once you get it, all your friends will want it.
Yeah. And they won't be able to because we only have the
we'll
one.
be sold out, so...
So you're better than them now.
Yeah, limited edition.
Get it so that you'd be better than your friends.
Yeah. Fuck them. Shock them. We have social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, kind of Tumblr. I don't really post anything on there. YouTube page. Everything is in the show notes, except for the Tumblr. I'm going to add that, and I won't for this episode or ever because we don't use our Tumblr. But go look at them. Yeah. Add us. Show your friends. Be like, hey, I'm friends with these guys on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, we're your friends now.
Do that. Pterodactyl's going to become a shirt, by the way.
That should.
Yeah, make sure you stay vigilant seeing what we post for our shirts because we're coming out with some cool shirt ideas.
Well, cool shirts. We have cool shirt ideas. I like the idea that we're just selling ideas.
We can do that too.
Like we just
if you want to buy an idea,
we just write down the idea on a note card, and then we sell the note cards, and it's all the same idea.
I mean, when you think about it, isn't everything you're selling just an idea?
Fuck you.
And on that note, that's for today.